Well, hello everybody. One more video for Sunday. It's important to do. We have the polls in on Joe Biden's presidential approval ratings. They are the lowest since Donald Trump. Joe Biden fell by January of this year, 2022. He fell to 34% approval rating. A whopping 50% of decided Democrats no longer support Joe Biden's America, Joe Biden's Green New Deal. They don't support any of the devastating impacts of his choices in relation to the United Kingdom. Everything he's done since 2021 have been at the absolute expense of Americans. That doesn't fly in America. We, the people, the Constitution is clear. The design, the system of America is clear. Whether people like that or not, they don't understand it, they don't care to, and that's their choice. But let me tell you, every single president, going all the way back to Richard Nixon, every single one, remained largely well above all of Joe Biden's numbers coming out of 2021. He drastically fell as he had an overwhelming over 50% approval rating becoming the president of the United States. It was over 50% of decided Americans supported Joe Biden. That number has dropped continually, and to the point it breached Donald Trump's lowest point. Joe Biden holds the record, the most unpopular president in American history. He does. Look at the polls. You will see every single president's popularity. Go look it up. You'll find they were all well above Joe Biden, besides one Donald Trump. He made some bad mistakes in the last 6 months of his term, critical, disastrous mistakes that had many flee from him. You don't breach the Constitution, the highest law of the land of the United States of America. Joe Biden hasn't done it just once. As grievous as all of those decisions are as a president to do that, he's attempted to do it now 8 times. It's gone disastrous for him. He said he's not the populist president. The first thing he does is wage the Russian propaganda war. Throwing Russia down, that's their game plan. They won't declare World War III. They're not going to go in and start a World War III. That would be disastrous for Americans as well as much of the citizens of the world. Everyone knows it today. People are learning very fast. Just the consequences for you, the people, the average Joe Janes. Massive consequences that shouldn't be. But because of the lack of value in supply chains, that's your reality. Now, America believes in America first. America allows their 50 states not only to trade with each other at their own design, free from government intervention, free from a government that would reduce that. That's how it's done in Canada. It's wrong. It destroys us as a country. It makes us incredibly weak globally. We're incredibly weak because we can't even get along with ourselves in this very limited federation. Joe Biden's finished. November comes as it stands today, even with the war, even with all the propaganda machine, with all the help from the royal family, with all the UK and the media, bang, bang, the left media just hitting you all with the garbage. It still hasn't reaffirmed the American citizens. Average Joe Jane America is going, fuck you, Joe Biden. You're done. You're done. You're done. 8 times you have violated the highest laws of America. Unlike Canadians, Americans have civics. You're trained in school. Whether you're a Democrat, Republican, does not matter. You are trained in civics. America first. Honor America, the principles of the Founding Fathers. You are taught, live, learn, love your Constitution, love what you are. Americans should. They should celebrate it. It's very important for a country to establish its own supply and value chains. Kudos to America. They've been just great since World War II. We see wealthy oligarchs surrounding America, getting inside America, supported by Canadians, first-class politicians. Absolutely, of the UK, I can tell you all. I sat in an oligarch presentation inside what was the WEF. I've done other spin-offs. 1 year ago today, I went toe-to-toe with 8 of UK's largest oligarchs, wealthy billionaires, one of which, Lush Cosmetics. A lot of people challenged me about my girls going to Lush. I got my stage with the director of African operations of Lush, a massive billion-dollar oligarch all over the world in oppressive colonizing roles all over the world. People think, oh, they're cosmetics, but at what cost? What kind of human rights atrocities and labor? I can tell you live in that meeting, she lost her shit, and live in front of all the other oligarchs, in front of all the UN participants. I was there. I hammered her with what she had done to my region, Alberta, and the 200,000 lost jobs in energy, oil, gas, our inability to do pipelines, to trade even our own country, or even get out on the world stage. We couldn't build the ships. I hammered her. And I said, your exploitation of Africans. And you know what she said? In front of everybody, she lost it. It was a mouth dropper by a billionaire bitch. She said those filthy people in the Africa get what they deserve. They're inhuman. She lost it. She went on a big rage. It's not her fault, Alberta, Canada, all of that. It's those people, those Africans deserve what they get. They're not even human beings. That is an entitled, wealthy United Kingdom oligarch who feels entitled to talk like that. If any media was present, that would be disastrous, you'd think, for that one, but it's a left company and it's all mum's the word. I did that live. I did that in front of Oxford and many other experts, as everyone mouths dropped. That's what you get when you do real debates with supposedly these great wealthy institutions. Canadians, you are supporting foreign oligarchs currently today, right here in Canada, that during the pandemic and all the way up to now, where it's just growing by massive, that little increase in the interest rate sees those oligarchs increase their profits 50% fold. A full 50% increase in profits by American Canadians paying for their products. There's no interest rate that's going to help inflation in any real sense other than bolster the profits of these foreign companies who then take those profits out of Canada. We have a massive trade deficit with the United Kingdom, many of the Commonwealth countries. Canada loses big time. Our path forward is in real value and supply chains. I'm an economist. That is my number one expertise. To get stronger, I needed to learn international law, not just learn it, I needed to master it. There is a nice platform available to all Canadians, done by a party we're trying to build called the Party of the Canadian Constitutionalists. I was forced to change names because I put lowercase in, which is lawful in Canada, but not in Elections Canada or any provincial elections system designed by the government. Quote, and kept and saved in the judgment made against me, which was the CCP, Canadian Constitutionalist Party, little c and big C, constitutionalism, small party, I put it in the lowercase, voted absolutely by the Conservative Party of Canada, Liberal Party of Canada, New Democrat Party of Canada, Bloc Party in Canada, Green Party in Canada, all the way through to the Communist Party, and every Canadian registered federal party chimed in, including Maxime Bernier's People's Party of Canada. Do you know what they said? I will use capitals only. That is the customary law, and you will not get constitutionalism, Canada. You will get communism before you ever get constitutionalism. Canadians, I couldn't make this up if my life depended on it. That was the ruling. That was the vote by all your legally registered federal parties in Canada. You will have communism before you'll ever be allowed to have constitutionalism. They don't want any codified constitutions outside of 1867, removing all the people of Canada, absolutely turning the First Peoples of Canada into the savage, non-human being status. Third class, you are slaves. Second class operates as the mercantiles as long as they follow and do exactly what the first class Canadian politicians tell them to, or they're gone. There's still no guarantees because the first class politicians get paid by wealthy oligarchs. Wealthy oligarchs well on their way to becoming trillionaires. Canadians, do you know how many zeros are behind $1 trillion? Is there any system in this world history comparable to that kind of system? Yes, there is. Age of Empires, where there were zero human rights, humans were in absolute slavery, and the greatest enterprises, the greatest homes ever established by individual citizens with the largest control of landmass in the world, where everybody works on it as a slave. It's why so many came to the New World with the promise of free land. Free land just to re-implement the same institution they left. This is what Canada is. Joe Biden can't get re-elected even with a war against Russia, not real war, a staged war. Looks good for the people of America, but don't go any further. Americans aren't buying it. Canadians are suckered right into it. Justin Trudeau's approval ratings are very high. People love to be bullshitted. They love to feel like they have some kind of control and power on this earth when really they don't. Canada lies to you about it. We're told a mythical system of entitlement for Canadians. Meanwhile, our standard of living goes down, down, down. The absolute rape, pillage, and plunder of the Canadian has never been as high as it is today. Today, right here in March 2022, there's never been such an outpouring of the Canadian citizens' worth transferred to foreign oligarchs in the history of Canada. It is the highest it is today. Canada's crown, for those who believe that's not true, I am sorry, read your constitution. And more than that, look at your Privy Council, all the backdoor deals done. That's called Crown Customary Law, given to us or imposed by us from the United Kingdom, that our politicians took in 1952. Liberals and Conservatives have been ruling on it forever and a day since 1952. In order to keep that power, sponsored by the UK royal family, they had to give control of all international law and narrative internationally to the royal family. Boris Johnson sits as president of the board for the Commonwealth Charter 2012. That's the truth. That's the sad reality. You watch the Financial Post, National Post, CBC, all propaganda media. Don't believe what you hear. The Guardian, the Observer, all go right to the Bank of England, every single one of them. It's not American media. You're getting narrated by an island unitary state with no subregions, has nothing to do with you. Now, their system works for them. They're an island state of 5 UN countries. The 10 provinces, 3 territories of Canada have 0 UN state status. They're inside this country called Canada. They say, oh, you get regionalism, you have a division of powers, but your premiers are 100% autocrat. There are no provincial constitutions. This is what Ukraine did to Luhansk and Donetsk. That's what they did to them. There will be no regionalism for you. Kiev will rule over you. We don't care how many Russian-speaking citizens there are. We don't care what your Orthodox Russian religion is. We don't care how old it is. We're removing that from all of you. We're imposing our will. We will govern you from centralized Kiev. Even worse in Canada. Canada loves it because it's a lot like the Crown system, and they know they can teach that, and they can exploit Ukrainians. You will find registered corruption the highest in anywhere, in any country, nowhere near you all. 5,000 radius, so 10,000 mile diameter, a circumference massive. There's no country to equal how much corruption of Ukraine there is. In Canada, it's legal. The transfer from Alberta to the rest of Canada, that's called perfectly legal. A system of Luhansk and Donetsk is legal in Canada. Russia's giving you the legal path to independence the military way. Minsk was the legal path to independence. All Ukraine had to do was give Luhansk and Donetsk, all they had to do was give them constitutionalism and their regional status. That's all they had to do. But they couldn't do it. We're not unitary here. The United States of America is not unitary. Nobody wants a United State of America. No one wants to see the 50 states lose their regional powers. They don't want it. They want their individuality, their subcultures, their ability to trade with each other, and even trade on the world stage. It makes the Federation mighty. This was all inherited, absolutely in part, from Switzerland and all those who came to the New World, and absolutely the Iroquois Confederation. That's the truth. First peoples, first design of real federalism. That's the truth. There's only a few countries, very limited in this world, even those with the crown attachment, which dissolves all real true federalism. Canada is not a true federalism. We're way worse than Russia, contrary to what everybody says. People get things mixed up. They think, oh, communism, you've forgotten crown, or you've just never been taught crown. Crown is a first, second, and third class, and then the savage population, the non-human population. Third class is largely a slave class, a lower level of person, no equality of person. There are many stories coming forward. The History Channel is logging all of these credible stories. It's just beautiful as I watch as these rollouts come and all these presentations, teaching more to Americans in the world that wants to watch it. Canadians, the propaganda by your government's going to keep you suppressed. I wish I could do more, but this is the only stage there is. And unfortunately, there's not going to be any break with the government because they love the crown. They love the entitlement. They love the class structure. You will all be slaves. And any one of the second class, meaning the domestic business owners, the mercantiles in that class structure, they will do exactly what the ruling government tells them to do. If they don't, they lose their second class title, meaning they lose their business and they go back down to working for somebody else in the slave class. We are paying for the next set of trillionaires. Canadians at large are doing it higher than anyone else in the world, followed by Australia and then New Zealand. They keep telling you you're a wealthy, wealthy country. We're only wealthy because of the massive land mass, the massive properties of resources. They're exploited at the expense of absolutely the First Peoples. No settlement for them. They're left in a lower standard of human existence. Illegal in this world today. This system is the Nazi design. It was made right here first in Canada. Everyone in the world blames USA. USA fought off all the colonials. They changed everything. Slavery from the Spanish, absolutely from the French and English. They wiped it all out. It took them over 100 years of war. 60 American Indian War years. More wars than all of that in all the colonials they threw out on their ass. People judge America. America's a bright, bright, shining example of what people can do to change their lives for the better. How they can band together somehow, miraculously, against all the wealth, all the power, and fight back, and they did, and they freed themselves. And that Constitution still exists. Are there problems with it? Sure, I've said before. Do you think the Founding Fathers ever thought a president like Joe Biden or ones before him would come forward loyal to the crown? It wasn't even imaginable 250 years ago. You would have been hung by the neck, strung out in the streets, and everyone would be taking shots at you. It would be a big party, people drinking, walking down the Old West, shooting that body out of the tree. That's what would have happened. And this is historical fact. Look at all the Crown Royal statues destroyed. Destroyed. 250 years ago. Thrown into the harbor, off with their head. Decolonization, done first and only by the United States of America. A rich history of truth. The American Indians got reclaimed, got compensated, got a massive settlement. Is it everything and everything? No. But remember, folks, like Africa, America went through 5 colonial superpowers on their own. 13 colonies, smaller than British Quebec, that went right through America. And for all those talking about residential school genocide in the States and Pennsylvania, and some in Ohio, look at the boundaries of the Crown in British Quebec, just how far that went, all the way down to Louisiana. You'll find a lot is propaganda. A lot truth is withheld from you. In real history, in real mapping of real history, you will find the truth of where it all came from. It all goes back to the Crown. Look at the history of America. Look what 13 little colonies did against a massive amount of forces. They didn't stop with the British and the French. They continued on. Spain, Portugal, and absolutely Mexico. They threw it all out until they ended up with the 50 states. Look at Russia selling. This is a real good one for y'all too. Russia sells Alaska to the United States of America, traded across. You know what year that was? 1867. Whoa, 1867! That's the year Canada created the Constitutional Act of Canada, the Crown's last-ditch effort to protect the Crown in the boundaries of Canada. Look at Cascadia, BC. Russia, and both Russia and USA have massive history and context of British Columbia and all the murdered tribes that no longer exist in Canada. But guess where they truly exist? Washington, all the way down to California. Those people are still intact. In fact, 22 of those lost Canadian languages exist or are alive and well today just south of the border. Those people are all still alive, but completely eradicated out of British Columbia. Unceded BC. And the poor Wet'suwet'en Canadians have no idea. You have no idea. So much is going to come forward in so much time. This residential school genocide, we're working hard on it. That's coming very soon. The education's going to go up. Won't be publicized heavy. There will be some public YouTube videos in relation to the P5 and where we're at each stage. But largely this is behind the scenes. It's for the first people to get to their chiefs. It's going to be done entirely by first persons here in Canada, loyal people I've known over many years and people I know in real life that I really truly trust. That's who's going to get it out there to all the chiefs. The legal path to getting it recorded in the UNSC, how to do that. The real reporting service outside of Canada's bullshit, outside of all the Canadian politicians who have absolutely no authority, no seat, none whatsoever in the International Criminal Court, or even higher than that, anything to do with the UNSC. None whatsoever. Canada doesn't hold a seat. They have nothing. They quit the ICJ since the 90s, folks. Read the letter. It's recorded right on the site. They tell you the status. Canada's gone from the ICJ. They have all their own terms and conditions if they'd even hear something. Yet they throw the stone at Russia, but yet Canada's not even a member anymore. Canada's a liar. Everything we're hearing about Ukraine is only a fictitious truth of one side. One side that isn't going to win this. And USA's not coming to the defense of anybody, because USA will never ever breach we the people of America, and America first. And America knows too much civics trained on their citizens. It's constitutionally mandated. Americans, unlike Canadians, are afforded that education all the way through junior school, elementary school, and all the way. That's the truth. It's too bad our country runs like this. It's too bad we have such an overwhelming presence of foreign propaganda. As Canadians literally are facing a deep recession, massive unemployment, lower wages with absolutely higher costs, higher interest rates, and you're going to go, why is the inflation not under control? Because you don't interprovincially trade. You don't establish your own supply and value chains. You don't. You give all that authority to foreign oligarchs. Foreign oligarchs who fill the back pockets of your politicians, who are giving themselves raises, telling you everything you want to hear, and why isn't anything working out? Why would it work out? It's not foreign billionaires. They will exploit anywhere they can. That's what billionaires do. They look for the best deal possible. Canada does it absolutely at the expense of all of you, the low-life, no-good, degenerate third class. You're slaves. You will accept all the abuse. You accept all the bills, even when you can't afford them or pay them, and no logical person would ever impose that on you, except for a greasy, sleazy, self-entitled first-class citizen in a system designed 950 years ago that has no place in this world today. It was washed away from the United Nations in 1945. Canada gets away with it, keeps going, at the absolute expense of the Canadian citizens. Your lives have not gotten better. Household debt's way out of control. And absolutely, your value has gone down, down, down. Your politicians don't give a shit about you. If you haven't figured it out yet, and if you don't know that there is a simple solution to this, without war and violence, it's called elect a party, like the party of the Canadian Constitutionalists, that will bring full dismemberment, redesign of the Canadian Constitution and all regional designs. We will use the Crown, which is appointed our own Governor General, absolutely all the Lieutenant Governors of every province and territory, and shut down every legislature and parliament. Forced, because that's the Constitution. There's nothing anyone can do about it. The police are sworn to it. The military is sworn to it. All you need is a minority elected prime minister. And immediately upon election, you announce your crown positions, your shadow crown that now becomes the official notice in writing publicly right there on TV. You announce all your crown positions. They are sworn to the people of Canada and all the First Peoples of Canada. And then you enter into, because now all the MPs and MLAs of every province and of the federal government are now without the ability to legislate. Because without a Governor General who will sign off your acts and bills, no legislator can make any laws, because you need that stamp from the Crown. And a Prime Minister elected, once they notify the 30 days before the ascension period of the new Crown positions, firing, in fact, giving notice that in 30 days you're all fired, then the new ones come in, and guess what happens? Every MP and MLA must return to their constituents and provide in every community, every reserve, every town hall, no matter how far, how remote, absolute constitutional conventions in every minority language available in Canada, meaning everybody with a primary language, not English, gets it in any language they choose, including all the First Peoples. You get it. World's greatest experts already, more than 154 of them now. I'm pleased to say that 154 ready to take on this challenge. $161 million. That's it. Half as much as Trudeau handed over to Ukraine for nothing. For nothing. And we can fix Canada in many months period till all the people with the great hands-on to ask and present any policy or any idea for a constitution you'd like to see with the greatest minds. They tell you in real history where that worked, where it didn't, and allow all you, the people, to decide. Over and over in months and months until you, the people, all the First People, craft your constitutions. It will mean full settlement of all the Crown lands for all peoples of Canada, First Peoples and Canadians. Absolutely. and first people design their constitutions and how they're going to be governed. And if you don't believe in a nation within a nation, you're sadly mistaken. Look down south in America. 1975, that's exactly what happened. And flourishing, alive and strong today. I don't see any massive problems down there. Do you? Where's all the news stories? Because I know in the civil rights area, it was horrific for the American Indian. Since 1975, that's not the case anymore, folks. Very, very limited. All the issues, all the genocide, Canada, Canada, Canada. And again, for those talking about Pennsylvania and Ohio, I am sorry. British Quebec is clear. America is not the animal everyone's painted it to be. When you look at the true history, when you isolate colonialism and what the 13 colonies went through, they did a hell of a job. An impossible feat. It's why America's great, whether people like that or not. It is a growing, continually growing and achieving peoples who continually confronts those issues, doesn't hide behind them. Do they make mistakes? Does the executive have too much power? Did the founding fathers screw up on the executive power? Sure. Another amendment. There's been many amendments. They need another one. I think that will happen in time. I don't know, but I'll certainly work for that. I would love to change America in that respect, make it a better international player. Because let's face it, folks, the founding fathers didn't see this coming. They just couldn't fathom at their time how any treacherous bastard or bitch could ever come forward in a delusion that they were going to go back to the crown. But here we are today with Joe Biden doing exactly that. Laying down with the Queen. Oh, his mother hated the Queen. Well, as we saw on Valentine's Day, that's not the case for her son, Joe Biden. A traitor. Would have been hung in the streets, talking and acting the way he is today. Americans would have flogged, hung him in the streets by the rope, by the neck, till he be dead, dead, dead. I'm sorry, but that's true. If anyone doesn't believe that, I suggest you go read historical written documents of those times in independence and look what they did to people making deals with the United Kingdom, like Joe Biden did, signing the new Atlantic Charter in 1941. Biggest betrayal on America ever since World War II. Read it. The Atlantic Charter 2021 compared to the original Atlantic Charter 1941. Houston, we got a problem here. It's cost Joe Biden, but the damage to America remains. Let's hope the next president isn't as corrupt. Let's hope we find some kind of decency only found in a few presidents, Richard Nixon, Ronald Reagan, that could deal with this. So far, there isn't one. I don't see Donald Trump talking about any of this. He looks content to protect his oligarchs. And it's scary, it's sad. I hope somebody from America comes forward, some Republican comes forward. There's a number I would like to see. Great men, great women, but so far they're quiet. And maybe it's fear, maybe it's the idea they're too old at this point and they don't want to go into this kind of fight. It is a $12 trillion war against America, whether people want to believe that or not. Look at the wealthy oligarchs. They're all talking about Russia. Sure, they're wealthy oligarchs, sure. But what about the rest? What about the rest? Oh no, UK's oligarchs are okay. It's normal to craft trillionaires. It's normal not to afford any property. It's normal not to have any land availability. It's important for you to pay more, work for less, and have literally nothing. Be a slave on somebody else's land. That's important. That's the design in the future. A design in a future that looks a lot like the past, called the League of Nations. I don't want that. I don't want that. I don't think any Canadian wants that. When are we going to take out the crown? That is the fastest way to end all of this. Barbados is working on it. I hope they have it in place. I hope when I read that Constitution, I'm going to see that translate onto paper. I hope there's rules in the Commonwealth or complete removal of the Commonwealth. If they don't, not very much is going to change for Barbados, not much at all. I hope that Susan, who got the Governor General position, transformed a constitutional monarchy into a republic. But what will that constitution read like? And what is the status of the Commonwealth? Because if Barbados goes forward in the Commonwealth, they give all international law and power internationally to the royal family. Read the Commonwealth Charter 2012. It's sick, it's depraved, it's lunatic. That's my video. Share, share, share. Learn the truth of what's happening to you. Learn the truth of Joe Biden, his little war with Russia and the Ukraine propaganda and the media. It's moved him, sure. He's up considerably. Beats the hell out of his low 30s, but he is still the most unpopular president in the history of presidents, besides one Donald Trump. Thanks, that's my video. Bye now.